to mankind, at least in this day and age, is about to take place, event or events, on or about the 8th of November to the 14th, somewhere in there, plus or minus a few days, I'm going to have to think twice about that little statement of the Department of Homeland Security deal. Just going to throw that out there. So, September, he said also, pay attention to some of these numbers. In September 2010, insider trading in the stock market was 400 to 1. 400 insiders, elitists, CEOs, etc., who know where the market's going, they control the whole thing. There was 400 of them to every one real Joe Blow who was actually playing the market thinking, I'm going to try the stock market, For every 400 elitists, or not elitists, but insiders doing insider trading, there was one real guy thinking, I'm going to get in the stock market and maybe make some money. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. All I know is he said there's 400 to 1. This oil guy told him that. He said then, on October 4th through the 8th, which was just a few days ago, the insider trading was 1,600 to 1. And I thought he said, I don't know if they were selling all their stock. I think the insider trading was them selling their own stock. Basically doing the fake run up, selling all their stock so that they get out, and the bozos, sheep, are left holding the bag when they pull the rug out from under it real soon. So he says, China is cashing out of the U.S. Treasury bills, which we already know that. We already seen that. They will not be buying anymore, and they will not be for too much longer USA friendly. Not necessarily meaning we're going to war with China, just that China has seen how they got burned by us, and our government, basically. And that's why they're doing their deal with Russia. They're coming up with their own trading techniques. They don't need the U.S. dollar. And that bothers our elitists over here. But they are no longer buying the Treasury bills. Forget that. They're now net sellers of Treasury bonds. And they're not too happy with the USA at this point. Who could blame them? I mean, sorry. Banks are going to make the Federal Reserve bail out the mortgage-backed securities, or MBS, those issues, which will cost trillions of dollars and will then own every single piece of real estate. Banks are going to make the Federal Reserve bail out the mortgage-backed security problems. And remember that little thing I read you a second ago? The other news stories I wanted to read you? Those 4 headlines? The first one, Fed wants banks to buy back bad mortgages. Well, that's what they're saying. Well, we want the banks to do that. But the banks are going to say, we're really, really too big to fail now. You thought we were too big to fail in 2008, and we passed the TARP and this and that? Oh, no. If you thought that was too big to fail, you should see us now. Because if we fail now, the whole entire country and the world goes down. Before, it was just the United States that was going to fail. And it affects some other countries. But now the whole world is going to go down the tubes if we don't get the bailout by the Federal Reserve. That's how they're probably going to present this to the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve, because it is owned by those big banks, will of course do so. Right now the Federal Reserve is saying, no, we want the banks to buy back those mortgages. And if they do, fine. They'll buy back the mortgages, they'll pay off the investors who are filing lawsuits because they're underperforming now, and they have 60 days to do so. So maybe the banks will buy back those bad mortgages, basically, and say, okay, here's your money back, investors, and then say, oh, Federal Reserve, knock, knock. Listen, we got this trash back on our books. We need you to take it. Appreciate that. And since we own you, you're going to take it. Via the taxpayer, of course. So that's probably how that's going to go down. Lindsey Williams didn't necessarily say that like that. He said the Gulf of Mexico oil, the guy did tell him, the elitist, it has been stopped. They were able to fill it with the mud stuff. It did stop the leak. They were able to stop the leak. It's true. But the core exit and chemicals and the oil that's already under the water will be causing problems for years to come. And they will just keep covering it up as if no big deal. No, it's not us. No, it's not that. You're just getting sick because you're getting sick, etc. Somewhere around 2012, in some way or another, we will all be working for the government. And when he elaborated, he said basically look at the healthcare bill that passed. Doctors now cannot enjoy their own private pay that they felt they would be paid. $150,000 a year, $200,000 a year, $100,000 a year, whatever it was. When that health care bill passed, remember they were causing a fit, saying, oh great, now the government's going to tell us how much we can charge patients, how much money we can take in, thus telling us how much we can make. They were pissed off. And many doctors, there was even a sign on a window in Florida that said, if you voted for Obama, don't even come into this clinic. That's how pissed off they were. And I saw it on YouTube and a photo of it in Florida, which is where I live. So that's what he's talking about. The government's now going to dictate to you what you can and can't make, or you will be working directly for the government via the war with Iran. You're going to be a soldier or support somehow for the government, for your military in the attack or whatever against Iran. It's going to happen. It is planned. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing I can do. You can hope. You can have faith. You can pray. You can do anything you want. It will not change a thing. This is set in stone. It's going to happen. So the only thing you can do is buy silver right now before we get to the web hot date, because I have a feeling that on or about that date or afterwards, shortly afterwards, maybe gold and silver are going to go nuts. I don't know. All I know is for sure soon it's going to happen. And that's not worth waiting to see. Hey, well, if it does start going up, then I'll go ahead and buy some. No. Do it now. He said the prices will not be going down. Gold and silver will be only going up from this point forward, is what he said. They will not be coming down. Yeah, but silver went down, almost $2. That's not going down. That's just fluctuation in the market. Trust me. When he says they're going down, it's going to be 25. Then it's going to be 30. Then it's going to be 40. Then it goes down $5. Then it goes back up $10, 50, 55, 60. Oh, it's down $3, $5. Ooh, that's just fluctuation. Again, that's not what he's talking about. It's not going back down to $15, $10, $6. It is never going back down to that level. If you have a credit card and you have any amount of money on it, you need to urgently get some silver. Urgently as in before the end of maybe next week or the week after. You want to do this before the elections, that time period, because we're getting too close to the hot date. Who knows what's going to happen? This guy is 100% right every time. And the most absurd things he said, like the oil. Absolutely absurd to say it was going from 50, 60 to 150. And then even more absurd to say it's going back down to 50 and below for a while for the first half of 2009. And then it did. Wow. You have to sit back in awe of that statement when it happens. And it's been recorded. It's on YouTube. You can go look at the date it was uploaded and say, man, yeah, he was right. Man, that's pretty interesting. So anyways, that's the only thing that can save you right now. I'm telling you right now, is silver. And he said, again, there's going to be problems with food. There will be some food shortages, as well as, in his eyes, due to the elite guy's eyes telling him, in his view, America will import all the food we need regardless of anything. It's going to be so expensive, the average person might as well starve anyways, as if there was a food shortage, because they're not going to be able to afford much. If you have silver, and it's currently $25, and when this really starts to kick in gear, which he said, again, 30 to 50% devaluation of the dollar before 2011. By 2012, the dollar will be completely worthless. This is what he told him. So, let's say it's 50% on January 1st, 2011. Now silver is $40, $50 an ounce. And we have a whole year to go where before 2011 or 2012, it's going to pretty much be devalued completely just about, and they're going to have to come in with some new currency or something like that. If you can sell a silver ounce that costs you right now $25 a piece, and it goes nuts because of the turmoil that's about to come here very soon, and it's $100, $150, $200, $300, do you know how many barrels full of money, wheelbarrows full of money you could have if you have like a couple 100 ounces, 100 ounces, 50 ounces even? Use the credit card now. Even if you're one of the people that say, well, I'm going to use it, but I'm giving you my word that I've got to pay it off. And I've always been saying for a long time now, in the near future, credit's not going to matter. Your credit score's not going to matter. Credit cards are not going to matter. So if you got them, use them. And right now, the only thing you should be buying with your credit card is silver. And if you got a decent amount on your credit card, buy some silver and buy 6 months of food and water, or at least the food, in a good filter. There's a good filter by the name of Berkey water filters. The big Berkey water filter. I have one. You put water in it and it can make like 7 gallons of water a day or something like that, maybe even more than that. It's gravity fed, so you put water in the top, it goes down to the bottom through this powerful filter. You don't have to plug it in. It doesn't take water pressure. It just works. Goes down. Beautiful water. You could put pool water in there. You could go to a puddle. You could go to a pond, practically. Put it in there and come out with good water. Doesn't have to be plugged in. Again, it's a good investment. I think it was around $100 maybe. And there's a couple, maybe a smaller model or two that will work just as good. That's good because, sure, you're going to find water somewhere. The swimming pool is all over the place, and even if the water gets crappy, this filter will filter it. So at least buy a 6-month supply of food. You can go to Costco. They have actual kits now there online at Costco.com where you could buy these 6 months, 9 months for one person, a year for one person, something like that. They're less than $1,000 for like a year, and you only need 6 months. Not to mention, there's going to be other stuff out there regardless of how bad the food situation gets. And I don't know for sure how it's going to go down. I don't. I don't think either that these elite powers that be are actually anticipating these massive earth changes and floods, which are about to be coming again soon, as a little monkey wrench in the food problem either. I think they're just thinking, well, food will be expensive, and that's it. We'll get all the food we need, and we'll bring it into the country, but the average person can't afford it. That may not be the case when everybody's starving because of all the flooding waters that destroy the crops. And if you remember, I told you about the 87-day solar weird cycle going on. And the first one of those happened July 31st was the predicted date. It happened the next day, August 1st. And they said watch out for another 87 days as we get close to that, right around on the day, a day or two, somewhere around there before that date, whatever. The sun should react violently again. That's when those floods in Pakistan that displaced 20 million people, 3 or 4 million people in China, 50,000 plus in North Korea, all because of flooding, due to the sun reacting the weird way it did on or about that date. So is it possible that this massive filament that's on the sun now and has made a complete circle, it's like 500 and something thousand kilometers, which is like 39 or 40 something size Earths stacked next to each other, that's how big that is, never before seen in this circle. These filaments are extremely rare, yet we've had several of them in 2010 alone, which is odd as hell. And it has not popped down into the sun like they usually do, and it's still floating around, I guess, supposedly. So, today's the 21st. We have 5 or 6 days left until the hot date of that cycle takes place. And something's probably going to happen with the sun. It's going to cause the planet to go a little nuts. Storms, rain, whatever, you name it, mudslides, it's probably going to happen again. It'll be a little worse than it was before. And then you're going to have the economic problems to worry about, and the other stuff, and the banking, and the mortgages, all that stuff. So if the food supply gets wiped out because of massive flooding in places where it normally doesn't flood, where there were crops growing, a wise investor would actually invest in the grain commodities, futures, wheat, corn, that kind of stuff. But I don't play the paper game because you can get burned by the elitists. And again, with 400 to 1 and 1600 to 1 insider, nah, I'm not playing that. Not to mention, I don't want to play something that I know people are going to be starving because I'm kind of helping make the price go up by playing the paper game. I'd rather have a giant barrel of wheat sitting in my garage than playing a piece of paper that says I own a barrel of wheat somewhere that doesn't even exist. So anyways,